All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing awesome. Welcome to today's webinar. We just got started at 1 o'clock. This is our first time using this webinar software. We're used to Zoom, so I'm curious how this is all going to work. But I'm super excited for today. I see a whole bunch of people coming in, a whole bunch of questions, so really appreciate that. Yes, this will be recorded. So we'll get some of that housekeeping out of the way. A couple other items before we dive into this. If you do have questions, we have some people on our team that can help answer your questions and hopefully get some of these the questions out of the way. Throughout the presentation, I'm going to be answering some of these questions as they come up. However, most of them I'll save towards the end because I've got a lot of information here that I think we all can learn something from. So thank you so much. Again, welcome to this webinar. So my name is Chris Brisson. So I am the CEO and co-founder of Salesmsg, and I'm excited. Today's going to be quite the treat. It's been a while since I've done a webinar like this. So as I was building out the slides, I figured, man, there's a lot of stuff that we can showcase, share, a lot of insights, and some cool stories. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I guess the first question here, guys, can you hear me okay? I've done a lot of webinars and it's never fun when they can't hear you. So just in the comments there, if you could say, yes, Chris, we can hear you, that would be awesome. If not, I'm assuming that you cannot hear me. So if someone could just go in there and say, yes, Rosemary, thank you so much. Kenya, Brett, I appreciate it. So I am in Delray Beach, Florida. So if there's any of you folks that are in South Florida, I would love to meet up with you. Our office is in Delray Beach. We've got team members all over the world. So for those of folks that are in Florida, hello. So let's get to it. So first of all, can you guys see my screen as well? I know I've got my camera going and I've got the screen. Just want to make sure that you guys get everything that we're showcasing here. So, all right. So just a little bit about myself, why you should listen to me. So I have been sort of an entrepreneur my whole life, right? In 2009, I started this company called Call Loop, which actually still exists today. It focuses on calling and texting. And in 2018, we spun out Salesmsg. And while Call Loop was a outbound calling, outbound text message platform, really on the outbound marketing side of texting, Salesmsg birthed from the idea of conversational texting. And so I noticed a lot of trends back 2016, 2017, this is almost 10 years ago now, that the world was moving more towards a conversational space. And a lot has changed in that time. Needless to say, I've been in this messaging, texting world for a little over 15 years, which is crazy to say. Yeah, but I've seen a lot, and so we've seen a lot here, a lot of the good, the bad, the ugly, things that work, things that don't work, and ultimately, after sending billions and billions of text messages, there's a lot of things that we have seen to work well, and so we're going to talk about a lot of that. We serve and work with a lot of really amazing companies. Some of the logos aren't here. Some of the logos that you may have seen. Maybe you've been a recipient of a text message from Salesmsg. But we work with a lot of great companies, big companies, media companies, even small mom and pop companies as well. The strategies, the tactics, the stuff that we're going to talk about today is applicable to everybody. So this isn't, oh, I'm a big corporate enterprise company, I can't do this, or hey, I'm too small for that. All of the strategies that we'll talk about are applicable today. So all the stuff that I'm going to share is for everyone. So there's three secrets I want to share with everyone today. And these are what we have seen over the last many years. And more importantly, coming into 2026, how do you make 2026 a successful year, especially if you're getting into messaging? And so there's three of these secrets that we're going to dive into. And so this is a workshop as much as it is education and training. And so before we really dive into the state of SMS, one of the things that we believe here is we believe that conversations with your leads, with your customers is good for business. And what we mean by that is maybe there's been a time in your life where, if you're not having conversations with your customers or your leads, you're not able to book a meeting, you're not able to move somebody forward. And so our belief is, hey, if we can be the forefront of creating those conversations, that's going to lead to conversations that will lead to business. And so if we can create more conversations with our right customers, our right prospects, that's going to lead to business. Now, I'm not saying every single customer you have to have a conversation, but ultimately you can have conversations at scale. And so I'm going to dive into that. And so that's our belief here. And the challenge has always been creating conversations with leads and customers has become a lot harder. And so when we look at what are the traditional ways, or what are the ways that we have always sort of created these conversations and still work today, they're just not as effective, is really through calls and through email. And so we look at some of the data around this, and mind you, this is data that is a couple of years old. The information around this is even worse, right? So this is probably 2-3 years old, this information. The reality is it's probably inched up a lot more. And I think just being a consumer in the world, it has gotten much worse for phone calls, right? We use phone calls, we love phone calls. However, phone calls at the right time to the right person, we want to be a recipient of, as well as we want to go outbound for that. Calls work well. I'm not saying they don't. However, everyone is being bombarded with this. And so 84% don't answer calls from unknown numbers, 74% won't listen to the voicemail, 95% won't respond to voicemail. So we're all seeing this, right? I have on my own phone a whole world of spam likely calls. You're probably seeing this as well. So needless to say, calling is just not as effective. The other side of this is email. There are tools that are just built to manage your email. All right, so can you guys see my screen all right? All right. Okay, cool. I must have not made the picture here. All right, guys, sorry about that. So when we get to email, right, email is flooded. And so maybe you're like, we need to do cold outbound. We need to do all these other strategies for generating leads. And this stuff works well. However, it has just become more of a noisy place. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate you letting me know, and thank you. So email, not as effective, right? I think we all can agree with that. And so I want to share with you a book that I, as a young child, my parents read to me. And then as a parent, I am reading to my kids, or have read to my kids. They're a little bit older now. But needless to say, there is a great book. It's called The Missing Piece. And it's this sort of Pac-Man. He goes on the journey to find his missing piece. And he finds a big piece, a pointy piece, all the different sizes.
Okay, can you hear me okay? And again, this is the first time we're using this tool, so it seems to be a little bit wonky here. Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up? Yes, awesome. All right, I will continue on. So he goes on this journey. It's a really great book. The moral of the story is he finds a lot of pieces, none of the pieces that actually fit. And so the way that this relates to our business is we go on this journey. We try and find all these different strategies and tactics and techniques and things that just don't really fit for a business. Maybe TikTok works for some people. It may not work for you. And so the piece has been on this journey to find the missing piece. And so my proposal to you is that with email and phone, the missing piece to all of our businesses is texting. I'm a little biased. However, what I'll prove to you is that texting is probably the most simplest way to connect with someone, right? Versus all of these things and tools. The idea here is if you just text someone, you can open a conversation quicker, faster, easier with less complexity. So question, how can you increase your response rates? My proposal is tiny text messages, not these long text messages that look like an email, but tiny little text messages. So I'm going to dive into this. Now, one of the discoveries over the last many, many years, right, being in this business for quite some time, there has been an evolution of what messaging, what texting is today and what it was. Before 2026, it was experimental. People were using it as a one-way broadcasting tool, and that was the way in which you used it. It was always considered just a marketing add-on, and business was always an email-first mentality. Now, it's an essential connection. It's an essential revenue driver, an essential engagement driver. You have to have messaging and texting today in your business. Before it was one way, now it's two-way. It's one-way texting. And so manual and AI, we're going to dive into some really cool AI stuff. Also in life cycle integration, where it was just marketing, promotional text before. Now the best businesses that are seeing exponential growth and exponential gains from this are really incorporating a multi-touch across their entire life cycle. We're going to dive into this. And it's an SMS first expectation. So for me, I know in my own experience, if I don't get a text message reminder about maybe a meeting or an appointment, I'm sort of a little upset. Why? I'm not going to check my email. And so my expectation as a consumer is that I should get a text message. It is the preference for many, many of us. And so if you're your own consumer, you are also your customer. And so that is this mode that we're moving into in 2026. And so SMS isn't just surviving, it's becoming the primary revenue and engagement channel. We're seeing this across businesses. In the last 6 months or so, there has been a massive push for larger companies, bigger companies, medium-sized companies. They're all experiencing it, going, oh my gosh, we've got to do text messaging. We've got to incorporate this into our business. Why? Because they are consumers. They are experiencing it. And so they want that experience for their customers the same way that they would want that as well. And so companies with the best results use it across the life cycle. And I say SMS, but we're going to talk in general terms here around messaging, because there's so many different channels that we're going to dive into today, right? So the best companies are incorporating it across the life cycle. I'm going to dive into what that means, and more importantly, how you can start to implement it in your business today. So again, the 3 secrets to success. So one is, and we're going to dive into this, use messaging across the life cycle of the business, okay? And so we have a framework here at Salesmsg, and it's called Textize Your Business. And essentially what this means, it's life cycle messaging system. Okay, so we believe conversations are good for business. The way in which that we can help you create more conversations, and again, conversations does not have to equal pain, right? Oh my gosh, I can't handle conversations. The way in which that we can help you drive more conversations is through this framework called Textize Your Business. And so there are 4 parts to this. I'm going to dive into each one of these. So the first one we're going to talk about is capture. Now, we're going to dive into some real hardcore strategies. Now, these are techniques, tactics. These are things that you can implement in your business today. We have a lot of customers implementing one or if not all of these. And the goal here is to show you, hey, here are some unique ways that you can use texting to capture leads, right? To turn interest into leads, which ultimately turn into conversations to move down this funnel here, okay? And so here are some of the mechanisms. The way I look at this is there's an 80-20 rule to everything, okay? And so the 80-20, what that means is, hey, maybe one of these strategies or 2 of these strategies will produce 80% of those leads coming in. So what I would encourage you to do is take a look at your own business today. Where are the majority of people coming in for to fill out? Are they filling out a web form? Are they coming in from social media? Are they coming in from live chat on a web widget? All of these sort of lead capture mechanisms you want to audit. So I would encourage you, put all these down. Take a list. Hey, we've got a web form. We've got a contact form. We've got a demo form. We have a checkout form. We have live chat with HubSpot or Intercom, right? Audit all of those places from which you're capturing information, because these become pipes into the next part of this overall framework here. So there's a couple of ways that you can turn text into conversations, right? Or turn interest into conversations. And one is keywords, website widget, missed call automation, click to text, QR code, swipe up to text. I'm going to go through each one of these in detail. So guess what? Probably everybody on this call has web forms. And so if you have a web form, previously you would have a web form, you'd collect a phone number, and maybe you would do something with it. Well, now that is an asset. The same way that an email address is an asset to send email follow-ups and email responses and put people into workflows and campaigns, a phone number is an asset, right? Now you can text people. And so there's a compliance component of it. You can see it here. It's just a little snippet of code of legal language that makes you compliant. And now when somebody fills out this form, you can automate a text message. So think of this as a hook into an automated text to engage with somebody instantly. So if somebody fills out that form, boom, instantly we can automate an outbound text message. And I'll show you some cool stuff we can do with AI to have that conversation, to qualify and more. One mechanism that's very simple to do is just make your existing number textable. And so on our main website, if you go to salesmsg.com, we have that phone number. You can text that number. Maybe you have a number that is not textable. We can actually text enable an existing number that you do have. This is a super simple strategy. There's really not a lot to it. People text you, it goes into a workflow that I'll show you, and this becomes a hook. And so you can see Joe Jasana, he's the founder of Spartan, Gary Vee, we all know. So using this as a mechanism to drive conversations, okay? Another one here is missed call automation. How many of us have a phone number, and because we don't have a team to manage it, we have a lot of missed calls. This is a huge opportunity to turn missed calls into text message conversations. And you can automate this with Salesmsg. We can get into that. And so this is a toggle to just turn on. Hey, how about we turn this on? How about we turn this on, right? Let's turn this on. Text to join keywords. I'm presenting on stage at an event coming up called Impact. And people can text in a keyword, or they could also scan a QR code. And so when people scan a QR code, it goes right into a SMS and then immediately goes into a conversation. Pretty cool stuff, right? So the idea with this, think of all these different hooks, If you have social media, turn that into a QR code. If you're doing live events, you can have a QR code or text to join. Maybe you have a flyer or something like that you can turn it into. So all these strategies are available to create conversation. So this is Grant Cardone. So I saw this a while ago, and this is just on Instagram. And so what he's doing is from Instagram, you can swipe up and it immediately goes into a text message. And so you can imagine, how do you convert social media viewers into conversations? Now you can link over and go to a website and all that. This is a really cool strategy, especially if you want to bring people over to SMS. And so using a tool that we have, it's called click to text or swipe up to text. People can swipe up and immediately goes right into this chat. So you can see that it goes from this phone number, here's this message. And if I were to send this in, it would go right into an AI conversation. Really cool strategy. So inside of Salesmsg, we have this, right? And so now we're going to get to the second part here, which is once you've sort of captured these contacts, you've put in, again, maybe 2 or 3 of these strategies, then what do we need to do? We need to actually create conversations that drive result, right? And so this is the connection phase. So we've got all these different hooks. We placed all these different strategies across. We have companies that have implemented all of this. We have companies that are just like, hey, I've got one place that I need this, and I need it on my web form, right? Or I need it on my checkout form to build a SMS list for buyers. And so now that we move people in here, we go from capture to connect, okay? And so what happens when you are generating all of these leads? You're generating all of these conversations. And the next step is that you actually want to do something with it. And so like I mentioned, when somebody swipes up and they go to an SMS conversation, you can then put them into an AI agent. That AI agent can go through a whole series of different things, right? And so one is, hey, somebody can text you and then immediately you can have two-way conversations with them manually. Now, this is our platform. You can see what it's like over here. But ultimately, when somebody comes in, hey, how are you texting back and forth with them? Very easily you can have your team management. Now, that's the manual side of it. We've got a good amount of customers that are using it in this particular fashion. However, when somebody is driving a lot of leads, how do you manage it? This is actually one of our recent customers, and he says, we are launching a virtual private school in the fall. And we've gotten a crazy amount of interest. Around 75,000 parents have submitted their phone numbers to get more information over the past 8 weeks. There's no way a human can manage that, right? So if you are pushing through a lot of leads or conversations, the best thing to do is to put them into an AI agent. Now, granted, 75,000 parents, they can't have conversations with everybody. And so if you're anything like me, you want to take those leads and then qualify them based off of what qualification information is important to then move to the next step. So we have an agent here, and there's been some amazing use cases. In fact, this was one of them where they needed a way to scale this. They want to drive a lot of conversations, but they just don't have a team to manage 75,000 parents. So all those conversations came in, they went into an AI agent. That AI agent qualified them based off of information like age, location, you name it, right? And so based on that information, they moved them to a qualification, which would then book a meeting, or disqualified, and move them in that section. And so this is a way that you can sort of triage all of those leads coming through this qualification AI agent, right? And it's getting better and better. One of the other more connect mechanisms here is broadcasting. And funny enough, this is probably the most widely used. Super simple. Hey, I need to send out a mass text message or a mass ringless voicemail to the people, right? You can create a broadcast. This could be a broadcast that you want to send for an offer. This could be a broadcast that you want to get responses. And you can send this on behalf of like an owner. Maybe you're round robining the leads and you want to send a text on behalf of the contact owner. There's some really cool things you can do with this. And so this is just a way of like, hey, how do we get the word out, right? Oh, let's go ahead and send a broadcast. Let's send a mass text to our customers, to people that have raised their hand. And this just becomes a great way to open it back up to what? To create more conversations. And then your team can manage it one-on-one. You can have an AI agent sort of manage those responses. We all are sort of familiar with workflows where they get a little bit more dialed in. So we do have workflows, right? Maybe you're using HubSpot and you can use HubSpot for architecting all these workflows and integrating text messaging. Maybe we're using Pipedrive or ActiveCampaign or these other tools. But we have our own somewhat sophisticated workflow builder, which gives you some of this flexibility. So as new contacts come in, maybe they fill out a web widget, and now that lead gets pushed into a workflow. Campaigns. So what's the difference? It's campaigns. You can set just a linear messaging system, meaning like, hey, I've got a webinar coming up, and let's send an announcement. Let's send 2 days before, 1 day before. This is also great for appointment reminders. So when we talk about the experience that we want people to go through, a great campaign we have a lot of customers set up is appointment reminders. And it can be based on a date field, something like an appointment date, right? Because my appointment's on January 5th, yours is on at 2 p.m., yours is on February 12th at 1 p.m. You can create these dynamic campaigns that can automate those texts 1 hour before that appointment, 1 day before, 3 days before, 4 days after, right? And now you can create a structure so these campaigns become the way in which that you are now engaging with customers. And so everybody gets put into a follow-up or into a campaign for a reminder, and it just works. You create it one time, and now you've got an appointment reminder campaign. Or even post purchase, you can put people into a campaign, into a workflow, all sorts of really, really cool things. All right, you can see it sort of here. So again, we go from capture, we've created all these different hooks for ways in which we are capturing phone numbers, right? I believe a phone number is an asset. Before, the asset was dependent on calling. Now that asset can be dependent on texting at scale, one-to-one, or at scale using AI. My belief is AI messaging should scale like code, right? You should be able to set it up. And if you want to create those conversations, it should be able to do it for you to give you the outcome, whether it's book a meeting, whether it's drive a review, whether it's to drive a purchase. It can play a big part in that. And we're moving pretty heavily into more around this personalized AI messaging. Pretty cool stuff. So from this connect part, again, we've got AI, we've got broadcasts, we've got workflows, campaigns. I didn't talk about IVR. So now when somebody calls it your phone number, you could say press 1 for sales, and then it could automate a text message. There's some really cool things you can do with that. So the first one, guys, start to incorporate SMS across the life cycle. We're going to get into more of what that means. And also is, as you are starting to grow the business, I don't want conversations to equal pain, because in our experience, like, oh my gosh, I got to create more conversations. That means that's going to be painful. That means I'm not going to be able to respond to them. That means I got to hire more people. I'd rather not do it. There is a way to automate that and to allow AI to take the brunt of that away from you and your team to tee up and have those conversations for you and then hand off to a human. And so the future here really is in this AI first, also having that human touch. So don't be scared around AI, but also don't be scared to have an AI first implementation of messaging, of calling, because it allows you to then really work on the more important things. All right. So textize your business. Again, there's 4 parts to this. So the first part is capture. The second part is to connect and to engage, right? So we're going to capture those conversations and leads. We're going to connect with them in various different ways. And then now we're going to move into this third part here, which is to convert. So how do we turn those conversations into revenue, into meetings, into some sort of conversion mechanism, okay? And so, folks, I do see a whole bunch of questions here. I really appreciate it. Susie seems to be on it, and I'll certainly get to them towards the end of this. Okay, so this convert phase is how do we take those conversations and move them to the next phase? So you're thinking, okay, I've got these conversations similar to that company that had 75,000 parents. How are they going to qualify? And then what's the purpose of that? What is the next phase for that after qualification? One of the things that we have in Salesmsg is conversion tracking, right? Because you want to know how well is this performing. Wouldn't you want to know that? Well, we actually have that feature in here. And so whether it is someone purchases a product, whether it is somebody clicks a text and goes to a form to turn into an actual lead or a demo, you can track all of that. And so one of the ways that you can convert the folks from conversations into meetings is through an AI agent we have. It's an AI scheduler. And what this does is, just imagine 75,000 parents coming in, or maybe you have 5 people or 10 people coming through. It's qualifying, giving you the best quality leads, because you don't want to push all of them over to a meeting. And now your calendar is full of unqualified leads. You go through this qualification, and now once they are qualified, you can push them to book a meeting right over SMS. This is really, really, really powerful, because you think, how am I supposed to get more meetings? How can I truly scale generating more demand and a full calendar for my team? This is the way in which that you would do that. And so currently we integrate into Calendly. We're just about to roll out with HubSpot meetings. But what this will do is, one, this is all based on your knowledge. So you can upload your website, you can essentially give your AI agent all of the information that it needs to be knowledgeable on your business, your company, your pricing, and it will use your tone of voice, and you can set all that stuff up. It will qualify and then ultimately book meetings on your calendar right over SMS. It will even like share a link if you want to do that as well. It's fully integrated into Calendly. And so now you can take all those conversations, the quality ones, it's going to go ahead and book it. It will do it just back and forth in conversation. So you can imagine just turning this on, and right away you can have a qualified book of meetings in your team's calendar or in your calendar. So it's a really, really cool feature. The other part of this is on the broadcast side, right? So we talk about convert. Broadcast is the number one feature for us. And the reason is, one, it's simple, and you're getting messages out in a mass fashion. And whether those outbound texts are to generate a response or it's to generate some sort of conversion, whether that's buying a product, filling out a demo form, whatever it is, right? So the way that we can start to track that is when you send a broadcast, and there's all sorts of settings in here, is you can have it handle replies with AI, because you're like, oh my gosh, what if I'm going to send a broadcast to like 500 people or 200 people? I can't manage that. And so you can just toggle this on, and then AI will respond to those replies, right? Giving you less anxiety around, I don't want more conversations, i.e. more work, right? And so this is a way to turn it on and handle that for you. And your team, you guys can always go in and just sort of manage that. You can go in and see what's happening. You can get in and actually override the AI, but it's all based on your information. So you, again, upload your knowledge, you upload all your information, so it speaks in your voice and in your tone. And it's like anything, right? You need to train it. And so if you find conversations are a little bit different than what you want, you can go in and prompt it and change it to where you start to get to more of an optimal conversation. Again, track conversions. How can we track sales? Hey, click this link. They click the link, they buy your product, boom. And you can track conversions and say, hey, we sent out 1,000 texts. We generated 50 orders, and the revenue from that was $20,000, right? This is a way in which that you can do that. Same thing goes for automated workflows, right? I talked about appointment reminders. This could be for generating reviews. Somebody buys a product. Hey, let's put them into review. One of the stats that I saw recently, but 69% of people that are offered a review over text take it up. And so I think this was Attentive. They're a big SMS provider in the e-commerce space on Shopify. And what a great way to convert your best customers into folks that can leave reviews, right? Because maybe your business is dependent on reviews. I know for us, getting reviews is our lifeblood. And so you can automate all of that to your best customers. So one of the things here is on the campaign side. So we talked about this. Again, you can start to incorporate responses from this. So maybe you have a drip campaign that over time you want to nurture some of those leads that did not convert. Well, now you can just put them into a sequence, into a campaign that goes out 7 days, and then 30 days later, and then another 30 days later. And the whole point with this is to book a meeting or to have them buy your product or what have you. And so you can create these sequences all across your business. So we talked about connect, we talked about convert. And in this phase, again, we want to take those conversations. Don't be scared of conversations. There are ways in which that you can allow AI or your team to sort of alleviate the mass amount of potential conversations and replies that can come in. And we want to turn them into revenue, turn them into meetings, turn them into whatever the next phase is. I'd encourage you to check out this feature. It allows you to monitor this, right? To set up conversion tracking so you can actually see the output of its performance. So we've got capture, right? There's some of those mechanisms, some of those features, some of those ways that you can start to capture the traffic, the interest, the eyeballs, whether it's from social media or from your website. Phone number is an asset. An asset can be used to engage and have conversations. Texts get a 98% open rate. You can use AI to have those conversations at scale to qualify and then to book meetings, to also remind them about the meetings. One of the biggest challenges folks have that have appointments or have meetings is a no-show. And with a simple text message reminder, you can increase attendance by like 20, 30%. And so AI can handle that for you, or you can simply automate a text message reminder, let's say the morning of the meeting. And one of the best texts, I talk about this a lot, is one of the best texts to send is simply, if we were going to lunch, I would want to text you in the morning, like, hey, Chris, just a reminder, are we still on at noon today? And so just that confirmation is a great way to boost it. And so send that text out the morning of the meeting. Hey, just a reminder, our meeting at 2, are we still good? And that right there creates that commitment for them to show up, and maybe they forgot, right? Super simple thing to do. And so the last step here is the care, right? So we've got capture, connect, convert, and care. And this is the textize your business framework. This is the methodology, right? This is the lifecycle messaging system. And so we want to incorporate it into capture, incorporate it into connect, incorporate it into convert, and now to care. We've sort of closed the loop. They've converted. How can we nurture, retain, and drive loyalty? And lo and behold, the functionality and the features are built in. We have some new stuff coming out soon that will allow you to generate reviews, generate surveys. Maybe you want to get feedback, right? All of that can be used over SMS. So you imagine, I was actually at a trampoline park. They're one of our customers. When I was at the trampoline park, and after we left, and I don't know how they left, but there was some mechanism that like checked us out. And maybe it was just, hey, 2-3 hours later after their stay, go ahead and I got a text message. And the text was, hey, thanks so much for coming. It would mean the world to me if you left us a review. And so it was a link. I clicked the link. It leaves a review, goes to like Google, and I left a review, right? And so just having this loop for your business, maybe for your best customers as well, is a loop to generate those reviews. Maybe after a call, maybe after a meeting, maybe after an event, you want to send a survey out, right? And you can soon be able to do that. So this is the reviews that we're working on. So it's going to integrate into all different types of reviews and Google and Capterra and whatnot. And so this will allow you to integrate review capture in your workflows, your campaigns, your broadcasts, all across the platform. And the idea with this is you just set and forget it. And so you can imagine all parts of your overall business, you're just incorporating review getting, surveys, and the like. And so after someone purchases, how about we send out an NPS or a CSAT score? How would you rank us 1 to 10? How was your experience? 1 to 5. And if it's 5, hey, send them this message. If it's a 1, send them this message, right? To book a meeting with our team or whatever it is. And then if it's a 5, awesome, let's go ahead and ask for a review. So this will all be built into the platform, which gives you this full sort of life cycle, this full platform to manage all of it. And guys, this is all through SMS. This is all through text. And when I say text, messaging, which we have other channels. So a lot of folks are talking about RCS. In fact, Salesmsg has RCS. What RCS does is it allows for like rich messaging, right? There's some pretty cool functionality with it. And so RCS, we've got WhatsApp in the works. So more channels outside of just texting, calling, ringless, RCS we have, and soon WhatsApp. So all these strategies work across the channel, right? And so start to incorporate this in the overall business, right? So convert, and then we go into care. Okay. And so here are the 3 secrets. And hopefully, I sped through this because the reality is a lot of these systems are quite simple to set up. Okay. So number 1, audit your business. Go through, where are my opt-in forms? Where's my checkout forms? And just in a Google Sheet or whatever it is, just start to incorporate that and go like, hey, are we capturing a phone number? Can we capture a phone number here? How can we ask for a phone number? And just start to audit. And maybe you'll realize, hey, you know what? These are the 3 areas where we should. These other areas, not so much. And then you can see, hey, where in this journey do we want to incorporate messaging? If you're booking meetings, again, I would encourage you to set up an appointment reminder campaign. So the immediately after they book it, boom, there's a confirmation. The day of or the morning of, they get that text. And then after that meeting, you can send something else out. So start to look at the overall business in this life cycle, right? We have customer success. One of the things that we're starting to incorporate here is you can send videos, you can send PDFs, you can send animated GIFs. But what a cool thing to know who you're actually connecting with. So we've experimented by sending an animated GIF. So when someone becomes a customer, they have a dedicated customer success rep. They get a text message and it's just an animated GIF of Tiago or someone on our team waving their hand, or Sarah. And hey, I'm Sarah, I'm your new customer success agent. So use a multimodality approach to things. It doesn't have to be boring text messages. So AI first and human touch. Again, think of how can you triage these messages at scale and then hand off to a human. AI is pretty smart, and the AI system we built into SalesMsg is pretty versatile. And so again, you can upload your knowledge and it will speak in the way that you want. It will qualify in the way that you want. And you can also have sort of humans management, humans diving into those conversations as well. And then lastly, I'll say this is start to look at how you can quote unquote textize your business. And so the businesses of the future are not the one-way broadcast, are not, sort of a one-trick pony in the way that they're using it, but they're looking at the overall experience from generating leads to engaging with those leads, to qualifying them, to pushing them into whatever that next phase in the funnel. And it is a full loop here. So again, you've got capture, connect, convert, and care. And these are the companies that are winning, right? There was a stat that I recently saw. I was going to put it in the slide here, but it was 5.89% of businesses that utilize SMS. That's the difference in success. 5.89% are more successful, right? Or 5.89 times more successful, the businesses that are using SMS and the businesses that are not. This is the future, right? The future is messaging. The future is in texting. The future is in, all the different channels that your customers want to engage in. It is not a necessity, it is not an option. It really is a requirement, especially as we go into 2026. AI is going to play a part in that. So here's my predictions for 2026. So one, RCS goes mainstream. And this is sort of this rich texting side of things. It's going to be a big play here. I think Apple's going to do some interesting things. So take a look at RCS. We do have this in SalesMsg. This allows you go from a type response to a tap response. And what we're seeing in the data that's out there is when you go from a text response to a tap, it like almost doubles conversion rate. And so you can imagine, like on intercom, like when you talk to a live chat bot, you know how when you click the little chip and it just sort of goes to the next response? Imagine that experience on texting. That's what RCS can bring to the table. So if you need to book a meeting, hey, does 4 p.m. work? Oh, this time, that time. So that is really cool. And so more and more companies are going to lean into that. Some of the stuff around pricing, carriers are not being cool about it, but we'll figure it out. AI-powered personalization. This is going to be a big one, which is, when you have information on a contact, you could reply to them with that information as if it's a personal text. And so AI is going to play a massive part. You're going to see a huge move towards this. And my prediction for this next year is, calling, texting, the companies that really take advantage of this AI approach, those are the folks that are going to win. And I think what's going to happen is as you start to experience it as a consumer, you're going to go, oh my gosh, I want that. Oh my gosh, that was an amazing experience. Oh my gosh. And that is just going to further drive the consumer demand, AKA your customers, to want something like that. And so that's my prediction for next year. And I'm still going to say SMS is a revenue leader, right? I've been saying this for a long time, but SMS truly has been the channel that has always performed. And as much as there's new shiny objects, new things coming out all the time, take advantage of it, build it into your overall business across the board. And I think you'll see some amazing results with things. So that is all, guys. I appreciate it. We're at 45 minutes. If you have not used Salesmsg or are a customer, I did see a lot of folks that were brand new. Also saw a lot of customers that or actually folks that are not customers. So I'd encourage you to start a trial. One of the most important things with texting, especially in the United States, is to go through compliance. And what that means is to get approved for sending text. We've got a phenomenal process. You can actually talk to a real person that will walk you through to get onboarded and compliant to send and receive texts, especially in the States. And so I'd encourage you to start a trial. You can also book a demo with our team. And if that's you, please raise your hand. Someone on our team can reach out to you as well. But I appreciate it. Hopefully this was insightful, impactful. I'm going to do a lot more of these workshops coming into the future, one of which we're going to actually start to walk through each one of these components on how to actually do it. So if that's of interest to you, please let us know. But I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the questions here. And so Roberta, thank you for the question. What would be the best way to test and train the AI bot before going live? One of the things you can do is you can actually test it in Salesmsg. So when you go to create, I think I actually have it over here. When you actually go to create the AI agent, you can test it on the right side. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have it here. Yeah, so you can see it. So it says like test your agent. So as you're building it, you can test it in real time, just as if it's like a real conversation. So before you deploy it to the world, and again, what's going to happen is it's not perfect, but as you see these conversations come through, if there is, hey, they said something incorrect, you can always go back, add that to your agent, and now your agent just becomes more and more informed. And so over time, it just becomes more and more optimal. And so keep in mind, the information that you provide it is the information it's going to use. It doesn't go out to the web and use all the data that's in the world like ChatGPT does. It uses the information that you provided. And so that's important to note, is you can't just upload one doc and expect it to know everything about your business. The more data, the better here. So thank you for that question. Tracy, can you share some resources on HubSpot integration versus Salesmsg only for the workflows automation part? It was discussed a lot early on the QA. Sure. We do have a bunch of resources. I think if you go to our website, at the bottom there is our vault. And the vault does provide a whole world of of campaigns. So where is it? Yeah, Susie, maybe you can find that for us. But there is a whole section, I think it's called the vault or campaigns or something like that, where there are these basically the campaigns to set up. So, oh yeah, here it is. So it's called Playbook. So I will put a link in here. And so if you go here, we've got, the campaigns essentially for promotions, for onboarding, for webinar no-shows, for sales teams, how to use text to join keywords. So these are all sort of the proven campaigns to use. I don't know if it's all HubSpot, but so feel free to take a look there. Hopefully that helps out. All right. Tracy, another question. Oh, look at this. Oh my gosh, we're getting awesome here. All right. Can you cover HubSpot workflow versus Salesmsg workflow? Yeah, I would just say, like, if you're using HubSpot, HubSpot's workflow is going to be your brain, right? HubSpot's going to have all of the data, right? More so than Salesmsg workflows. So if you need to use the information that exists on HubSpot, I would suggest using a HubSpot workflow instead, and then you can add a text message there, okay? So keep in mind, Salesmsg workflows are not going to be as sophisticated as HubSpot. So yeah, that's what I would say here. So, all right. Can the AI agent, thank you, Susie, I appreciate it. Can the AI agent be trained by us? Yes. So there is a section called knowledge base, and that is where you point your website, your upload documents, everything that it needs to essentially be trained. So that is where you can essentially build it out. So here's one of the things that I think is really interesting, right? We get to see a lot of unique businesses, right? And a lot of folks are using it in ways that I've never thought of. And so one recent business, they are a pest control business. And one of the things that they set up was all their billing. And so as customers completed the task or the job, the pest control agent just out in the field would send a text message and it would just automate an outbound. I forget how they set it up, but basically once they were finished with the job in their application, they would click a button. It would send a text message to the customer with, hey, just letting you know that your service is complete. Please let us know how we did. And that would be a little survey that they would fill out. And so, you think about what is this workflow and how we can start to automate this outreach or just the experience of letting a customer know. We got some furniture at our house, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago, and they just every week would send a text like, hey, just let you know, the delivery date is still on X, Y, and Z. And you really want to think about how do you reduce the anxiety that your customers will feel about the overall experience, even for us. Right. When I think of Salesmsg, like where in the business is there anxiety? Anxiety around not getting approved, anxiety around messages going down or whatever it is. How can we sort of get ahead of that? And we're not perfect by any means, but ultimately start to think through what is the experience and what are the touch points that is not overwhelming, but more informative, right? And I think in any relationship, if you over communicate, that's a good thing. And so how can you use it as a tool to communicate better, inform your customers better about the product they bought, about the service they're depending on? So anyhow, I hope this all helps. A lot more questions to answer here. And I will, so I'll answer this one. How do you see Salesmsg differentiating from HubSpot's SMS function? So HubSpot is, HubSpot, like we use HubSpot, but we use PandaDoc. Why? Well, PandaDoc's quote builder is better, right? They've built better functionality. And so the way HubSpot tends to build some of their feature sets is very light. And so for a light customer, HubSpot might be a great solution. But if you're a little bit more sophisticated with what you need, Salesmsg is a great choice. So we work really well with HubSpot. We work with their team. We work with their CS leaders, their sales team, because every customer is different, right? The functionality that they offer may not serve that customer, but Salesmsg might. So what we do best is messaging. What HubSpot does best is everything else, right? And so for them to be the best in the world around messaging, it's not what they want to build. And that's why we're one of the top partners in the space, is because they need companies like Salesmsg to step up to solve those nuanced problems for their customers. So hopefully that helps. But we've got so much planned. This next year is going to be really, really interesting. Things are happening so fast. I'm sure everybody is seeing all the AI challenges and changes and all that. Our number one priority is to build like the best platform, period. And the way that we're able to do that is through your feedback. And so if you do have something that is broken, you want fixed, you have an improvement, maybe you have a feature, we are all ears, right? We're a very larger growing team now. And so we're able to move a lot faster to build some of this functionality. So look, a lot of the things that do come to the table is because of all the customers. So I appreciate you all. If you do have any feedback, you can go to feedback.salesmsg.com. This is a way in which that we can know, hey, that's important. Let's go ahead and build that. So I hope this was helpful. If there's anything else, please let us know, and we look to take care of you. I'm going to get through a couple of questions here in rapid fire. Can you connect iOS store for customers to review an app? That's a great question. I'll take that feedback down. When we come out with the reviews product, we can add iOS in the mix, right? Just as like Google and G2 and all the other ones. So we will make sure that we add that. Same as Google. Like, look, we're on iOS, so I want it. So, all right. A lot of talk on WhatsApp. We haven't, like, we're still building that right now. And so that's going to be WhatsApp Business and whatever it is. I don't know the full details of it, but WhatsApp certainly is on our roadmap of things to do. So, all right. Thank you, Susie. I appreciate the link. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. Happy Wednesday. And I look forward to talking to you all soon. So again, if you need anything, go to our website. Feel free to let everybody know on our team. This is awesome. And hopefully you got some value from this. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of the week and talk to you all soon. Ciao.